Hey guys, it's your girl Finja here, and if you are a returning subscriber, welcome back, and if you are new, welcome to my channel. Feel at home. This is the place where we discuss everything related to law, marriage, parenting, fitness, and everything that is necessary. Today we are going to nail the various marriage regimes that we have in Namibia. That is, today's video is dedicated to our potential newlyweds. That is, those of you who are planning on tying the knot this year or in the coming years. As some of us would define it, marriage is a contract. Some would say it's an agreement, over that have this, blah blah blah. Anyways, marriage is a contract. It is a contract, plain and simple. And every contract or every piece of contract is guaranteed or is guided by a particular legislature, is governed by a particular legislature. So the following legislature are actually the ones that govern marriage. Marriage is governed by the Marriage Act, that is number 25 of 1961, if I'm not mistaken, and then which was also then replaced by the Marriage Persons Equality Act number 1 of 1996, I think, 1996. And this is because the Marriage Act, that is 25 of 1961, had some biasness to it. It was, remember, it was in 1961, so this was the colonial era, and it was biased in the manner that it only gave power to the Adam's gender, that is the man, the husband, to actually have control and say over the property within a marriage. Whether now this property was acquired by the lady, he had the say. He was in control of it because he was the man, you see. And then our people realized that no, these colonial laws are actually putting down a woman. We now have gender equality and whatnot. So they then enacted the Married Persons Equality Act number 1 of 1996, that is after independence, where this Marriage Persons Equality Act then did away with certain aspects, or did away with the Marriage Act, certain aspects of the Marriage Act that actually had those biasness components in them. And as after having inaugurated and enacted the Marriage Persons Equality Act, this is now where incommensurate property comes in the picture, where both parties are allowed to actually have equal rights over the property, or are allowed to own their own property when married. So yeah, kudos on those ones. They really did on that advancement in our law. That was actually one, I think that was one of the plausible advancements in our law. Even though there's still a lot to be done, that is one of them. So yes, moving on. So what is a marital regime? A marital regime, basically defined, is the type of marriage or property right that will apply to your marriage. That is, will you be getting married in community property, or will you be getting married out of community property? Now, what do the two mean? What is the difference between getting married in community property and getting married out of community property? So let's start with getting married in community property, which is, I think, the most popular one, especially among my people. So getting married in community property basically means that the assets of the two parties, that is of the husband and the wife, your properties are one. And this would also mean that your debts, your liabilities also become one. Now, this is one thing or something that most people fail to think about or fail to consider. They are so quick to jump and say, oh yeah, he's rich, he has 2 houses, he has plots away, he has a business away. So if I marry in community property, these assets then automatically also become mine, because it's no longer yours, it's no longer his or hers, it's now ours. Everything belongs to the two of you. So this means that you each have a 50% share of whatever asset the regime or your matrimony then makes off. So let's say if when you got married, your husband had a house, or your wife had several plots to her name. When you get married, these properties, these assets, both for the wife and the husband, are joined as one. It becomes a joint estate, are joined as one, and you now both have 50% share of whatever it is that the other party had. There's nothing like this is mine, this is yours, or I had this before marriage, you had this before marriage. Now, that is the same thing that applies to the debts. Debts accrued either before marriage, before actually signing or committing to the union, and also during the union. Those debts that are also accumulated during the union. So if your partner is prodigal, for instance, or if your partner is into taking risky business decisions, then you should be prepared to actually also incur such liabilities and such debts. Now, mind you, when the debt collectors come to get what is theirs, they do not care who bought what and who paid for what. The fact remains, you're married in community property, so your assets are his assets and his liabilities are your liabilities. So, my dear, you are equally liable to paying such debt as well. That is how it works. What is required? Let's also now touch on the requirements of getting married in community of property. So as we've all known, our country has recently gained its independence about 32 years ago, and it has left a great impact on us. I mean, we still live bound by the colonial years or colonial laws, legislature. So that has left, one of the impacts that has left on us is the red line, there by Oshibelo, here by, what is the place when you're going to Rundu? Mororani Gate. Is it Mororani? They also, so those are the borders now of the red line. So if you want to marry in community of property and you reside below the red line, that means Odi Mushimba, what we call it Noshuambo, Odi Mushimba. So if you want to get married below the red line and you want to marry in community of property, so basically all that is required of you is to register and have your witnesses ready and you get married. You don't actually have to go through the lawyers to do that. However, if you reside below the red line and you want to get married out of community property, then you actually require the services of a lawyer, of a legal practitioner, who can actually draft up what we call an ANC, an anti-nuptial contract for you, which stipulates which properties will form part of the joint estate and which will not form part of the joint estate, or if none at all, and then you actually get married out of community property. That is also the lawyer that you will need if you want to get married out of community of property but with accrual. That is also another type of contract that you can attach to your out of community property regime. Now, with accrual simply means that there are certain conditions to this out of community of property. It's not entirely out of community of property. That would mean that assets of the individual parties to the marriage that have been acquired by the individuals before marriage, prior to the marriage, will not form part of the joint estate. However, assets that have been acquired by the parties to the marriage, by the husband and the wife during the marriage, will then form part of the joint estate. And this is just, accrual is actually there to give a fair sort of balanced, division of the estate or of the assets acquired during the marriage, because sometimes both parties, not even sometimes, I think most of the times, or all the times, both parties actually contribute to the estate or to the assets acquired during the marriage. Yes, one party might be unemployed, but while the other party is out there making the money, this party is taking care of the kids, this party is out here keeping the home together, so that is also a contribution. Or the one party probably has the finances to actually make money moves, however the other party has got the vision. So it was my idea, but your finance, your monetary contribution. So you see, so these two people both equally contribute to the estate, and thus the accrual system actually provides a platform for a fair division of such assets should the matrimony ever dissolve. Ever, is it ever? You said it's forever, till forever, till death do us apart, it's forever, but I'm just saying, should it ever dissolve? Hopefully it will not. Out of community of property, if you intend on getting married out of community of property and you are above the red line, that is Orikoambo, that is now, it's automatic. You don't need any declaration, you don't need no ANC, it's automatic. Marriage in out of community of property above the red line is automatic. You don't have to actually apply for it or make a declaration. However, if you wish to get married out of community of property and you are below the red line, below the red line, and you want to get married out of community of property, that is where you both have, let me first define what it means to be married out of community of property. So getting married out of community of property simply means that your assets are divided. You each have your individual assets. They are entitled to you and under your control, or they are titled. You are the lawful owner. It's not ours, it's mine, and it's his, and it's hers, and it's his. That is how it works. And in order for this to actually qualify, below the red line, you actually need the services of a lawyer. You need a lawyer to draft up an ANC for you. There's an anti-nuptial contract which stipulates what belongs to who. And if any of you intend on giving anything to any other party, that can also be indicated. If that party if you are also giving particular shares of a certain percentage to the other party, that will also be stipulated there. But that is where you indicate who owns what, so that in the instance where you actually want to part your ways, if you want to divorce, the court has a guidance and assistance as to what belongs to who. And also in the instance that the one party has got debts or liabilities that follow them, that they would only accrue to that particular individual. So that is how it works. Out of community property means separate assets, separate liabilities. That is how it works. So if each of you, none of you require the signature and authorization of the other party when you're actually engaging in contractual obligations. Let's say, for instance, you want to go take out a loan at the bank. You can do that without having your spouse's signature. While as opposed to being married in community of property, you actually cannot do anything without your spouse approving thereof. So if you are married in community of property, whether above the red line or below the red line, you need your spouse's consent in order for you to engage yourself in legal obligations, in order for you to attach yourself to legal obligations. If you want to take out a loan, anything that would affect the estate would actually require the signature of the other party, that as a sign of consent. So there everything is, you have to work together. Like you guys are one, and you actually have to work together with regardless. So yes, if your spouse is not there and they can't sign, you actually cannot do anything pertaining to that. However, I'm not saying entirely, but in most things. However, if you are married out of community of property, the financial institutions still give you the liberty to have your spouse added or recognized as being signatory to your account. That means you go to the bank, you inform them that, no, I want to add a signatory to my account, and then they would then give you the contract where you give them authority, because you've given this spouse of yours, power of attorney over your accounts. That means that this person can now inquire into your statement. They can withdraw money from your account, whether outside or inside of the bank, and they can access your account and actually do with it as you can, because you have given them that power. But in the absence of you making them signatory to your account, and you are married out of community of property, they are unfortunately unable to access your account. So it's up to you. That is the information. It's up to you to decide which marital regime you actually want to go for. I've given you both pros and cons of both sides, what it means to be married in community property, what it means to be married out of community property, and what the consequences are of selecting the different marital regimes. So yes, so now the ball is in your hands, guys. It's up to you to decide. Not even up to you, it's up to you and your spouse, or your intending spouse, to decide which marital property regime you want to take up. And yeah, guys, unfortunately, we are not the same people. We never will be. We have our different ways of understanding it. I remember very well that when I got married, that's a story for another day. But anyways, when I got married, some people felt that, the marital regime that my spouse and I opted for is not befitting. But then again, it's not about what people think or say. It's about the two of you, because you are in this together. It's about what the two of you have agreed to and what the two of you feel is best for your union, because at the end of the day, this is your ride. We are just outsiders. They are just outsiders. They're just viewing. So guys, do what is best for you and your family. Do what is best for you and your spouse, and enjoy the ride, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And also comment below if you have any questions, if you have any questions pertaining to marital regimes or marriage in particular. If there's any aspect that you want me to touch with pertaining to marriage and the legal aspect of that, yeah, please just comment below, and I will definitely make time to make another video on this particular aspect. Thank you guys for your time, and until next time,